Good morning. My name is Kate Simmons, and I'm proud to work at the Portland Press Herald. Thank you so much for coming to the first of our new live event series, Like a Boss, One-on-One Live. Today we're going to be talking workplace culture, business strategy, and leadership development with LL Bean CEO and President Steve Smith. But first, we'd like to extend our gratitude not only to you, our audience, but also to our sponsors for two reasons. Number one, their investment has helped us bring this discussion to our business community. And their investment has enabled the Portland Press Herald to continue to bring you a high quality of journalism every single day. Just last month, we had over 6 million page views on pressherald.com, from everyone looking at the lacrosse scores for Cape Elizabeth to reading about the latest developments in the State House. So our content is engaging readers across the great state of Maine and around the world. So I'd like to thank Coffee by Design, Holy Donuts, Red Thread for these fabulous red chairs, and our venue, Portland House of Music and Events. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Live and Work in Maine, Norton Insurance and Financial, and Vistage. And Vistage is a confidential, facilitated peer advisory group of high-performing CEOs, business owners, and presidents in Southern Maine. And together, these leaders are dedicated to improving each other's businesses, becoming better leaders, and getting results. So I'd like to introduce to you CEO of Vistage, George Casey. George is going to wave. Next, I'd like to introduce Peter Fendler of Norton Insurance and Financial. Peter.
Thanks, Kate. Just a couple comments. Good morning, everybody. Interesting place for a venue like this. Last time I was here was last week. I walked out at about 11:30, and I was probably in a little different state of mind than I am at 7:30 this morning. But I think I want to thank Maine Today Media for creating this forum and having discussions like this. It's really important for the state of Maine to be able to engage with these conversations. We're kind of at the end of the pipeline here, and we have a lot of young talent leaving the state of Maine, so we need to create situations whereby better ideas are coming, more entrepreneurial spirits happening, and we're encouraging the youngsters to come back to the state of Maine. At Norton Insurance and Financial, I'm the president of Norton Financial Services, a division of the two. We provide services in the area of risk management, employee benefits, and retirement plan advisory and consulting services to employers large and mid-size in Maine, New Hampshire, and nationally. We have an announcement that's going to be in the paper here in a very few short days that is a combination that we're very excited to announce, but we can't yet, that will provide a lot more depth and a lot more geographic footprint for us. But we're glad to have this conversation. We're really enthused to hear what Steve has to say about the business environment. I haven't met Steve before, but I was reading his bio. We have a lot in common. He grew up in Westchester. My parents are from Westchester, Rye, New York. He's a skier. I'm an avid skier. He worked with RSN, Resort Sport Network. I work with RSN. He worked in China. My wife is Chinese. He leads a company of 5,200 employees. I lead a division of Norton with 32 employees. It's almost the same. Anyway, I think it's great that we're having this conversation. I want to thank Lisa and Amy and Kate for having us sponsor this. Really enthused to hear what he has to say about the business environment in Maine and what's happening in the retail space. Hope you enjoy the conversation. Thanks for letting us do this.
Thank you, Peter. Now I'd like to introduce from Live and Work in Maine, Nate Wilds. Nate.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I had a joke about last time I was here too, but I'll just bite my tongue on that one because everyone had a good one too. Anyway, we're all drinking coffee. That's what's important, I think. So thank you for being here. So Live and Work in Maine, we're an organization, a statewide initiative that is focused on workforce attraction. So what that means is helping people who want to stay in Maine and start or keep their career here, and then also bring more people in. So Steve is certainly what we consider to be a success story in that regard, somebody who came from a bit away, as we say, China, and relocated to Maine. And so we're focused on helping more people do that. And so certainly conversations like this are a part of it. Pleased to see such a diverse number of people from different organizations and across the state. We've got people from the state, Department of Community and Economic Development, the Commissioner and his deputy Denise, which is great. Thank you both for being here. Employers like Kepware, Project Login, Educate Maine, and others. This is a great consortium. And so not only is a conversation important, but it's also, we think it's equally important to work together. And that's how we do it. We do it in partnership. So we partner with employers, we partner with organizations, and we partner with great media outlets like the Press Herald to help facilitate and to help connect the dots between the challenges, the people who have the challenges, the employers in our communities, and the people who can help solve them, talented people from here and from away that can help grow our workforce and make it more diverse. So thank you for being here. Enjoy.
Thank you, Nate. Before we get started, we'd like you to take a look at this.
When did we stop valuing things that get better over time? When did disposable become our default? At LL Bean, we didn't stop. And we never will. When you buy something from us, we want you to like it for a long time. We make products that perform off-trail, on-trail, in the backcountry, or just out back. Because nature never disappoints, and neither do we.
Excellent. With that, I'd like to welcome to the stage Press Herald publisher and CEO Lisa DeSisto and LL Bean president and CEO Steve Smith.
Is that going to work for you?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
No problem.
great.
Oops.
Oh,
Oh, well.
I didn't know that did that.
I didn't either. It's fine.
Is that going to?
Yeah, it's all right.
Is that going to be just? You want your?
It's fine. It's just distracting to them, I think.
Oh.
It's all right.
Wow, I didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should have gotten it from LL Bean. But we love red thread, so thank you.
Yes, exactly.
So good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa DeSisto from the Press Herald, and we are delighted to have all of you here for our first edition of Like a Boss. And I think it's perfect that we have one of Maine's biggest bosses, and not just because he's tall, but that's Steve Smith, CEO and president from LL Bean. So let's get started. And what happened? And was it stand-up paddleboarding? Like, what's going on there,
It
Steve?
was, there's a good story and a bad story. So the
Okay.
good story is it was trail running in Yarmouth in May, and I tore my Achilles tendon. The bad side is it's simply just an aging athlete.
Oh.
And so it was a partial tear, and I had surgery on Monday to get rid of some bone spurs and fix the tear. And it feels great, and I'm not on any narcotics.
Oh, okay. Well, that's.
I feel fine. Like,
That's
I'm great.
that's important.
Yeah.
All right. So instead of me reading your bio, I'm just going to rapid fire so we can get to know Steve Smith. Although Peter Fendler just told everyone pretty much
Yeah,
everything
where's
they
Peter?
needed to
Where's
know
Peter?
about you. So there he is.
Oh, there. Ni hao.
You're twins. You're twins.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, you grew up in Westchester County. I guess Peter told us that.
Yep.
And
Yeah, so actually I was born in Paris, France. My dad
Oh.
ran production for Time Magazine, Paris Bureau for just 2 years, so I happened to be born there. And then I grew up in Pleasantville through 9th grade, and then Amherst, Massachusetts through since then. My mom still lives in Amherst.
oh, I went to school at UMass Amherst, so that makes us almost
Oh,
like
wow.
triplets
Yeah.
with Peter now.
Depends on what year you were at, because
Yeah.
when we were in high school, we used to sneak into the UMass parties. So,
Oh, yeah, I probably graduated before you were in high school.
I don't think so.
That's okay. So then college, where'd you go and what'd you study?
I went to Dickinson College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Loved it. I was an art history major, physics minor, played basketball. I wanted to be an architect when I was first growing up, so when I went to undergrad, I'm a big liberal arts fan and wanted to prepare myself to potentially get a master's in architecture. So I did art history for the aesthetic side and physics for the structural engineering side. And then I went into advertising.
I think that's a very common path for people, don't you think?
Definitely.
The art history major, basketball captain. I believe you were captain. You didn't mention that. I thought I'd throw that in there. Your first job?
First job was J. Walter Thompson. I mean, first real job was actually a paper boy, and then I used to tap maple trees. So, yeah. The Reporter Dispatch, part of the Gannett Network down in Westchester.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But first job was at J. Walter Thompson. I was a media planner right out of college in 1992.
What accounts did you work on?
I started off on Bell Atlantic, and then I moved into account management, and I was on Vandenberg Foods, which was Ragu. I had the privilege of working on a team that launched the fabulous Chicken Tonight.
Oh, you weren't I Feel Like Chicken Tonight?
I feel
that
like
was
Chicken
you?
Tonight. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I was just a planner on it.
That wasn't your...
Luckily, I can't take much responsibility
Yeah,
for it.
but still, you got it out to everybody. We
Yeah,
all know
definitely.
it, so
Absolutely.
brilliant. Well done.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I would say Trident and Schick, and Hall's Cough Drops, because Schick and Hall's introduced me to RSN in Portland.
Okay.
And that was how I first met RSN, was we bought the outdoor sports media of RSN for the Hall's Cough Drops.
Wow.
And that was my introduction to Maine.
That was my transition. So how did you get to Maine? So from RSN, then time at Hannaford, right?
Yeah,
how
so
it
I mean,
went?
just if I could, so I went J.
Yeah.
Walter Thompson, then I went to AT&T, and then while I was at J. Walter, I met Lynn, my wife, now my wife. She was obviously my girlfriend then.
Yeah.
We decided we wanted to move out of New York and get up to New England. When we started dating, we were taking almost every weekend up to the White Mountains and hiking in the White Mountains and all. And Lynn's father built an A-frame near Crawford Notch. So once we realized we were going to get married and stay together, we wanted to get out of New York. So we moved up to New England. And I had met Rory Strunk and Carl Labby, who were the two of the founders of RSN, when I was working on the Hall's account. So I called them up and said, hey, we're interested in coming to New England, up to Maine. And Rory said, great, I can hire you, but I can't really pay you. And we took a leap of faith and came up and worked on commission only in sales, and that got us to Maine. And
Wow.
we fell in love with it.
Wow.
That was 97.
Mm-hmm. And so from RSN then to Hannaford.
Yep, so
Yeah.
RSN 6 years, and then after 9/11, just had a reflective moment. Megan was born, Lynn was pregnant with Sarah. We were traveling all the time for RSN, and everybody has a 9/11 story, but for me, it sort of made me reflect on not wanting to travel around as much. And had some, just through my main network, had some connections at Hannaford, and the director of marketing position was open there. So put my name in the hat and then joined Hannaford. And then that started sort of the second half of my career. So first half really was marketing and advertising, and then went into retail, and then fell in love with retail, and was 9 years with Hannaford and Hannaford's parent company, Delays, and then 5 years with Walmart International. And then this came along, and I threw my hat in the ring.
So tell us a story about how do you get the job as CEO of LL Bean? Is it on Indeed? Is it like, what do you, I mean,
That's awesome.
How does that? Tell us the whole story.
Yeah, it's still a bit surreal, as you can imagine. I mean, it arguably is the best job in the world. It might be the best job in America, and I think it's probably the best job in Maine.
Definitely.
My story is a bit roundabout, so I'll give you the half-length story, and then if you want to go deeper, you can, or you can cut me off at any moment. Just a bit of sadness at the beginning, just because it's part of the story. But my dad passed away in May of 2014, and we were living abroad. And I made it back in time to do all the things you do and say all the things you say to your dad in that process. And but obviously it was a deep and sensitive time. And then at my dad's memorial service in June of 14, our best friends from Maine, and Andy and Tara Nupp, Andy works at IDEX and Tara used to work at Bean, they were at my dad's memorial service, and Tara came up to me at the service with a folded up piece of paper and handed it to me and said, it's time for you to come home. And it was Chris McCormick's internal memo that said, I'm going to retire in 2 years, and we're going to start an orderly succession process. And he was obviously my predecessor And it just struck me in a moment where I had made some promises to my dad of taking care of my mom and my sister and wanting to get back to the States at some point. And so that summer, I contacted Hugh Farrington, who is one of the independent board directors of Bean, and he was previous CEO and also on the Delays board. And when I worked in Belgium, he was the only American on the Delays board, so I got fairly close with him. So I talked to him over the summer of 14 and said, hey, I heard you got a transition going on in 2 years. I'm interested, let me know what happens. He introduced me to Sean Gorman in September of 14. I was working and living in the UK. I had a business trip over to San Francisco, and I just did a 17-hour layover in Boston on the way back to England, and made a quick run up and back here to meet Sean for the first time. And just shook hands, had about a 90-minute conversation, and just said, hey, I'm interested, whatever happens, happens, but I'd love to be included. And then fast forward to spring of 15, Russell Reynolds was hired to actually run the search for LL Bean. They did a fantastic job. I'm obviously biased because they selected me.
Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
Yes, brilliant. But incredibly professional process, and a true big CEO search, and lots of psychological profiling and all that kind of stuff. And I entered that process in March of 15, and they were always very clear that the September 15 board meeting would be when the family would make a decision on who was going to be selected. So we knew it was going to be a long process. And I just kept on getting called back. I mean, it's funny. It's like it feels like a little kid, but you go and interview and sort of put your best self out there, and as long as you leave and you feel like I've presented the best version of me, and stay true to yourself and your values and all, and then you just keep getting called back. And then the summer of 15, it switched over out of Russell Reynolds into family board, and I was here for about a week a month, May, June, July, August, September. And at that point, as a family, we were moving from England to Shanghai, and I was commuting England to Shanghai, April to August, and I would just disappear for a week at a time, flying to Maine, which is not easy from either of those places.
Yeah, there's no direct.
There's no direct. There's definitely no direct.
We're working on it at the Jetport, though.
Yes, exactly. And then, then September, and actually, very cool for me. This week last year was when I got the offer. Last week was our September board meeting, and last year was when they decided to hire me. And then obviously I got the job offer and was elated, and announced in November of last year, and then I started in January this year.
Wow, that's quite.
I said that was a mid-link story, but that's
no,
a long story.
it's quite a process, right? Almost 18 months, I guess.
Yeah, it was 18 months.
So you get the job. How do you prepare for it? Are you getting a new LL Bean backpack? Like what? How does that work? Or
Yeah.
Does that
and I
work?
apologize. This is. I just need to raise my voice.
I'll put my feet up too.
Not
Just to make
attractive. Excellent.
So how do you get ready for it? What's it like when you walk in, the first day?
Yeah, I've got a lot of answers to that. It's great, awesome question. A couple things. So I'm a big believer in mentors. So I've got some awesome ones. And when I got the job, I immediately reached out to, and actually there are a lot of Maine folks. So Ron Hodge was incredibly important to me, past CEO of Hannaford. Bill Burke, who I think you know just from this area, he came in as CEO of RSN. Hugh, obviously, and then actually some of my Walmart leaders. Doug McMillan, who hired me into Walmart, is the CEO of Walmart, and I talked to all of them about just, how do you get started and what's it like and what are some of the pitfalls and all, and sort of built a nice little network of folks who could just give me good, wise counsel. And then the hiring process was amazing, and Sean Gorman, who's the, LL's great-grandson and our executive chair and my boss, and Marie McCarthy, who's our head of HR, they put together an incredible induction program for me, and they actually started it all the way from the hiring moment in September and included the announcement in November. So I felt really well prepared. I had lots of time with board members and family members and what people were concerned about, what they wanted from a new leader. There's quite an appetite for change management, but being done the right way. So I just, I opened myself up to lots and lots of wisdom and experience from folks.
So let's talk about change management then. So what kind of changes did they want you to bring about, and how have you gone about that? And are folks at, how many employees is it?
I just heard 5,200.
50? Yeah,
so
but
that
I thought it
sounds
was,
good.
yeah. So
Something like
apparently,
that.
yeah.
It's 4,000, 5,000.
I thought it was
I don't know.
4,000, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So the reason why we don't know, I'm not flip
yeah,
about it, but
well,
we're
also seasonal.
correct, and we're
Right.
right in the middle of hiring seasonal. So we go up to almost 9,000
Oh,
during
wow.
what we call peak, which is November, December, and then our average is I think 4,200 or 4,500 is total. Sorry. What was
So
the question?
change, so change. So they want you to make changes. You're the new guy, you walk
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Are the employees receptive to change? Are they resistant to it? Because
Incredibly receptive. So there's sort of two pieces of change that were really clear even through the interviewing process. And first one was cultural change. So Bean is surprising when you come in from outside. It's very formal and has been very hierarchical for a very long period of time. And at the same time, my number one and number two impressions coming into the business. Number one, unbelievable people, and I can talk about that in more detail. And number two, unbelievable products that nobody knows about. On the people side, LL Bean's workforce is magical. So because LL Bean is such an aspirational brand in Maine, we get the best and brightest people who are already in Maine. So the valedictorians and all the great college grads and great high school grads who want to join a business, and we get to select the best of the best. Then we also get a group of folks who are incredibly talented, have worked somewhere else, and have fallen in love with the ideals either of the state of Maine or of LL Bean. So they're moving here for small town, for quality of life, for farm to table, you name it, all the beautiful reasons of coming to Maine, or stakeholder philosophy of LL Bean. So then you've got this second group of folks, and it's not they're all equal, but this other group of folks who have incredible experience, and they're here for all the right reasons. They're not just here for a paycheck. So culturally, tapping into that workforce, we could solve every single business problem that we have with our own people. If we remove formality, remove hierarchy, get more voices around the table, get our folks empowered to be able to make decisions in the moment, we have the best people. And if you just give them the tools, the information, the context to be able to make decisions in the moment, we could do whatever we want. And if you quantify that in sales, we could double and double again. If you quantify that in hiring, we could grow manufacturing, we could grow all kinds of stuff. So number one is cultural change,
Yeah.
removing some formality, some hierarchy, just getting the groundswell of talented folks to be able to be involved in solving our problems. Number two is growth.
Okay.
So just on the change
Yeah,
management, number
yeah.
two is growth. And Sean mentioned this in Eggs and Issues a couple of weeks ago, but we actually haven't grown in 5 years, so we've been flat on volume, and we need to get back into growth. We do have a high fixed expense base. We are a stakeholder philosophy company, and when we're not growing, we are not as healthy as we should be. We need to have top line growth, and so we're working on cultural change so that we can drive innovation, we can be faster to market, so that then we can get back into growth mode. And people are open to change.
Give us a specific example of how you flatten the hierarchy.
Yeah, so, leadership starts from the top. And so I came in and I inherited an old structure which was called the OOP, which was the Office of the President. And it was me and 4 direct reports, and all power was consolidated in that group of 5. And, almost every decision in the company came all the way up to that and then all the way back down. And then also it was very, correctly, I'm not critical of the past at all. It's a direct marketing-driven business historically, which makes it very quantitative, which then makes everything PowerPoint-oriented, and things need to be I's dotted and T's crossed and quantified. But what that does is it actually suffocates nascent ideas. When someone just has an idea, if you ask them that they now have to quantify it and put it into a PowerPoint and make it beautiful, all of a sudden that little nugget of an idea is gone. And so what I did with my team is, within my first 6 months, I expanded out to 8 direct reports. So our executive team is now 9. We include Sean as our executive chair. It's 10 of us around the table. And the mix that I intentionally put in place is of 9, including me, I have 3 that are new, including myself, Mike Mahoney, who's our inside counsel in government affairs, Chris McDonough, who's our new chief brand officer. So you've got 3 from the outside. I promoted 3 people, so Ken Kassir running retail, Gene Wilson for CIO, and Brad Kaufman running strategy and business development. And then I retained 3 wise folks who have been with the business for a long, long time, in Mark and Marie and Tom. And so all of a sudden the dynamic around my leadership table are outside perspective coming up through the organization, and then perspective who have been sitting around the table for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we don't throw anything away from history and heritage, but we are able to go deeper into the organization and untap potential, and then have an outside perspective. And my philosophy on that is more voices, more opinions around the table. It's sort of my definition of diversity around, the more diverse perspectives you have around a table. When you put a dilemma in the middle of the table and you want to solve that dilemma, the more points of view, the better off you're going to have an innovative solution to it. So I've started from my team, and then also just trying to remove hierarchy. Just come knock on my door. If you have an idea, for a product, you have an idea for a process, don't worry about making it beautiful and I's dotted and T's crossed. Just throw it out and we'll talk about it. And if it's good, then yeah, we got to quantify it and make it into something viable. But don't kill it at the beginning. Work your way through it.
So you have an open door policy?
Yep.
So almost anyone can.
Anyone.
Yeah.
It's great. And
Yeah.
it's funny. It hasn't existed for a long time. So it's
Yeah.
funny when, for me, I'm just like, hey, yeah, my door's open, come on in.
Yeah.
But people have been trained to be away, pushed away for quite a long time. So it takes time for people to get comfortable that it's real. Like you
Right.
can actually just stick your head in my door and we'll just talk. I'm a normal guy. So
You are.
yeah.
You were exceptionally normal. Yeah. I mean that as a compliment.
That was one of the key hiring criteria,
Yeah,
I think.
to be exceptionally normal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. So talk about your leadership style and the values that are important to you, and then how that looks at the office every day.
Yeah, definitely. So I lead with really overtly 3 principles around leadership. And when I was announced in November and gave my first speech to the organization, I talk about 3 things. I talk about transparency, empathy, and integrity as sort of the big 3 things that are important to me that a leader should provide to an organization. And so, and they're quite obvious, but transparency is provide as much information as possible to the organization so that people have the most amount of context, and then they're empowered to be able to make decisions with the information that they have. And the more people know, the more engaged they are in the business, the more they can say, okay, I understand he's thinking about that or he's worried about that. All of a sudden in my world, if I change something, I could help solve that problem. But that only starts with transparency, with opening up and saying, look, here's the good, here's the bad, here's what I'm worried about, here's what I'm psyched about. So transparency, and it removes politics and it removes games and all if people just understand where you stand. So transparency, critically important.
Yep.
Empathy I love, and empathy is probably, as a marketer, it's something that I appreciate, which is just the really simple definition of put yourself in somebody else's shoes when you're trying to argue a position or take a point of view. And whether it's putting yourself in the shoes of your customer or it's putting yourself in the shoes of a colleague or somebody that you're having an argument with, really truly trying to understand the other person's perspective and then trying to find the common ground between it. And empathy a lot of times is thought of as a soft skill or something that isn't necessarily rewarded or appreciated. But for me, I think it's critically important to create an environment where you have mutual trust and you have people who are really trying to understand and find the common ground. And then third is integrity, which is just really simple: do the right thing,
Right.
and reward people for doing the right thing. If somebody sees something that's wrong or could be fixed, just have the integrity to raise your hand, and no one should be punished for saying, hey, we need to do something better or different. And there's lots of simple adages of, if you never lie, you never have to remember what you said and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that, all of those values fit well with Bean.
Right.
And, Bean is a values-driven organization, huge. And, that none of that is in disconcert with the Bean values.
Thinking about transparency, so that's really about communication. So how do you communicate with your employees? How often do you do it? What channels do you use? Are you making videos with the latest plaid shirt on? Or
That sounds a little disparaging.
no? Oh no! And I didn't mean to. In fact, there are a number of lovely shirts that you can.
Like this one,
like
and
that
your dress.
one, for
Look at the
example,
signature
and my
dress.
signature dress. That's
Phenomenal.
right.
Looks
yeah,
perfect.
Thank you.
So how do I communicate? So lots and lots of different ways, and our internal comms team is fantastic. And I've presented them a challenge because previously communication was quite formal, and I'll answer a whole bunch of ways. So I'm out and about. I can't sit in my office. I need to be out and about, even on my stupid
Even
little
on your
scooter.
scooter?
Yeah, which is humiliating. But I'd like to just cruise around and go into the merchant workrooms and over into the operations areas and go around the order fulfillment center or up to Brunswick manufacturing and just talk and listen. And I've been in listening and learning mode, and I will be forever. I like to learn, and I'm a sort of a builder just by nature. But I spend lots of time just talking to folks and listening and learning. So that's the informal way.
Yeah.
And poor Beth, my assistant, is always trying to figure out where I am, and I usually disappear. I go to get coffee, and I come back an hour and a half later from some different building or something.
Oh,
But
you should have a tracking device.
I think I kind of do, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
every once in a while, someone pops up, and I'm like, how did you find me? I'm also not easy to hide. But anyway, so informal for sure. Then we used to have these quarterly business updates, which were very formal. It was sort of lights down, 300 people, big PowerPoint presentation, podium, and really productive. I mean, lots of one-way information of what's happening in the business. And we've converted those immediately into town hall style meetings. So we do about 45 minutes, eliminate the podium, eliminate lights down, just everything all lights up. And not the executive team presenting, so lots of different voices presenting on the state of the business in a way that's easy to digest. And it's all just seated on tall directors' chairs in front of everybody. So from a transparency perspective, we're exposed. You're not hiding behind a podium. And then we converted, those used to be 2-hour meetings of one way. We do 45 minutes to an hour of presentation, then we do a full hour of Q&A. And
Oh, wow.
it's normal. Like, that's not that groundbreaking.
Sure.
But Bean didn't do that before. So, and it's great. People have asked awesome questions. We sit up on the stage as the executive team, and we answer it, and we stumble if we stumble. We're not always polished with all of our answers, but it just shows humility, it shows transparency, and it shows willingness to communicate. And then lots of written communication. And I have a formal little newsletter that goes out every month, and then every once in a while I'll send out a random email to the total company of something, if I'm excited about something or I want people to know something. And
What's the last one that you sent out that you were excited about?
I sent out a September results email, which I wasn't excited about because September wasn't great. But it was a good.
We didn't have a good September. Either.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Excellent. Thank you. So we're in it together. We're
Smaller
very empathetic.
scale, but yeah.
Very empathetic.
Yeah, we struggled
I appreciate
too.
that.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm really, this is way too sort of inside baseball, but we're launching a new process called commercial planning, which is really simply marketing, merchandising, supply chain operations working together enough in advance that we actually could market products that we would buy enough of that we could sell them, that they wouldn't go out of stock. It sounds quite simple, but it's a whole new process. I'm really fired up about this group that's working on designing that commercial planning process. So, and there's a lot of buzz about it, so I just sent out a total company email just explaining it a little bit and letting people know I'm really excited about it, and giving that team permission just to keep working and people not to be freaked out about what they're working on.
So I'm really behind in my questions, but these are awesome.
sorry.
This is fine.
I told you,
No,
give me
it's
a little
good.
hand signal.
No, it's good. No, we're good. So talk about the experience that you had in your other jobs, whether it was with Del Hayes or with Walmart, that you brought to Bean, and how you worked that into either the change management or the culture. What was your best experience that you're still using now?
Yeah. So I'm definitely a product of sort of all of my experiences. So I use lots of little bits all over the place. I think just being a marketer by training, I think about customer first and the customer experience. So whether that's the mobile app experience or the site experience or the store experience, I think about customer a lot, and that's just from a deep training as a marketer and trying to put things into what would it feel like from a customer perspective. That's a constant. Hannaford, I don't know if there's anybody here from Hannaford, but
I bet some people that worked at Hannaford.
yeah, excellent.
Right.
Hannaford is unbelievable in the retail world, and I actually don't think that Maine appreciates what Hannaford does in the retail world from a people development and a leadership development, as well as a high quality business output. Hannaford's amazing, and it goes back to Hugh Farrington and to Ron Hodge around people development, but so many of my philosophies, even around empathy and transparency and all, are things that I saw in action. It wasn't that I was taught them out of a textbook. I mean, there's great leadership training, but saw in action around how you treat people, with respect, how you empower people. And I draw on that all the time, and it definitely has built me from my leadership perspective, from my different Hannaford and Delays experiences. And then I'm interested, once we got to get We have to work on the culture internally. We've got to get the health of the business improved. Once we get back into investing in growth, I will be tapping into my international experiences for sure. And LL Bean is just a beautiful American brand. Americana will always be popular around the world. And to help Bean enter into other countries, I'm comfortable, working in different international environments. I'm appropriately cynical and skeptical of different international environments, which I think can help us not be naive. I think could be scary as a Maine-based company to then look at venturing into China or Australia or Chile. But having some good international experience, I think, will help us quite a bit when we get to that point.
You mentioned customer service. So everyone representing all the businesses here, we all hold LL Bean as the bar.
Thank
How
you.
do you maintain that level of customer service, especially thinking about seasonal help, right? You almost double in employee size, but everyone seems exactly the same in terms of that level of service.
Yeah. So Bean's brand transcends any document that you could create for hiring people. So I think, just as you said, like people in the audience, everybody understands the role of customer service inside LL Bean. So I think when people are deciding even just to send us an email and say, I want to join your company, they understand, at least at the most basic level, customer service is critically important. And if you're not a customer service oriented person, you're probably not even approaching us. Once you come in, and I'll relate it a little bit to, I visit a lot of our stores out in the Midwest, and our hiring practices are phenomenal. And we find people who truly believe in the outdoors and believe in customer service. And then we do train. We have great training programs. We talk very clearly about the role of the customer. And so it's, I think there's a self-selection at the beginning, then there's really good hiring practices. I didn't fill out the actual application to get my job, but I'm pretty sure that application must have some indicators in it around customer service appreciation. And then inside training is critical. And the inertia of the brand is going to bring people along with a customer service orientation. And I'm sure there's lots of stories of people who didn't fit just being sort of naturally ejected out, not feeling comfortable in that environment.
Or maybe not looking good in the LL Bean line of clothing, I guess, maybe, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try not to judge.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true.
We've got something for everyone.
Yes, you do. So talk about that. Like you're working at the corporate office. Is everyone in Bean all the time? Like, what if you show up with your North Face jacket
That
on?
pisses me off.
I will.
And I've called some people out. I've reminisced people.
I wouldn't dare.
I won't say the person by name. I was at Handy Andy's in Yarmouth, and I saw a guy who's pretty senior in our organization who was standing in line with a North Face jacket on, and I couldn't believe it. I was really annoyed. But then I could see him. It was like an opposing magnet kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to Handy's, but there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And wherever I walked, he was like, whoa. And then at some point, he grabbed a bottle of wine. He was with his wife. He grabbed a bottle of wine, and he was holding the bottle of wine like that.
Oh, no.
And I was like, he knows that I know, and I know that he knows that I know, whatever. I didn't call him out on it. But so in Bean, it's a casual office for sure. I would say, most everybody's wearing LL Bean clothes all the time. We do buy other brands, and people need to see like what other products other people are making. For me in particular, I'm 100% LL Bean. I try to be all the time. I've completely swapped out my wardrobe. Being a marketing-oriented person, I think you should live your brand and represent your brand at all times. Plus, it's a nightmare for the merchants because I'm actually wearing all of their stuff and telling them, especially being 6'6", like how are the sleeves and all that kind of stuff. But anyways,
Right. So
lots of people wearing LL Bean stuff, and more LL Bean and less competitive brands because I do joke about it quite a bit, but it does annoy me.
Yes, we heard that one for sure. So let's talk about the channels of.
But I'll tell you though, I've been like that forever, and when I worked for Hannaford, I was the same. And my friends would tell me, and it was going to sound really annoying and neurotic, but we used to go to our friends' houses, and I'd just open up their covers and say, is it Hannaford or is it Shaw's?
Oh.
And if it was Shaw's, I'd say, hey, look, we're friends. I live here. There's a time I lived in Cape Elizabeth. You like me. I like you. If you buy Hannaford, my company's successful, we'll stay as your neighbors. If you
Right.
buy another brand, then my business is going to go out of business and I'm going to leave. So as friends, I think you should buy a Hannaford, and they stay in business and you stay in business. And for me and for my family, it's they pay my salary and they pay.
Yeah.
So I feel strongly about my brands.
Well, you
And I
don't-
only shop Hannaford now. I'm 100% Hannaford because they put my career on the right track, and it's a great company.
Well,
Anyway,
I look
sorry,
at,
bit of
no,
a
no,
digression.
I'm right there with you. I look in our circulation database to see if people are subscribers or not, right? And I know that you are, so I thank you for
am.
your Sunday only full digital access.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah. We're Mainers supporting Mainers.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
What it's, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
First thing I read every morning is the email that comes in.
Yeah, the
and
daily
read the digital.
headlines.
Yeah, it's
You
awesome.
too can sign up for it. That's
Yeah.
right. So.
It is awesome. It's great.
Yeah, no, it lets you
gives
know
me the full
right.
read of what's happening in Maine. It's awesome.
Yeah, so thank you.
Well done.
So, thank you,
Good plug.
Steve. So let's talk about channels of business, right? So
Okay.
you've got retail, you've got e-commerce, you've got this giant catalog. People get this one? Because I've never seen a catalog this big
awesome.
from you guys.
The supply
So
book.
talk about the channels of business. What's growing? What's shrinking? What's
Yep,
most
no problem.
important?
So, we started as a catalog business in mail phone. That is now, so can I say our sales numbers? Sean said it, didn't he? Okay, great, excellent. So
Yeah.
we're 1.6 billion in sales. About $1 billion of that is e-commerce, and then the remainder is split between retail and mail phone catalog. So, it's sort of 25% mail phone, 25% retail, 50% e-commerce. Even more than it's probably 60% e-commerce.
Yeah.
E-commerce growing, but e-commerce challenging because
Mm-hmm.
it's, we are in the fits and starts of going from a push business, which was put stuff in a catalog, send it to X number of, put as many pages as you can, as many items on a page to as many people as possible, and predict exactly how much you're going to sell of each individual item. And the science inside Bean is amazing. Put a small item on page 42 and you're going to sell 1,000 of them. Put a big item on page 3 and you're going to sell, 10,000 of them. That's push. To pull, which is e-commerce, which is, I think I want a flannel shirt. And then all of a sudden all flannel shirts come up.
Yeah.
And then you're in a competitive market and then people are buying individual items. So we are in that process. E-commerce continues to grow for us in a great way. Mobile is growing for us the fastest of all of our channels, which is fantastic. But at that point then, when you're competing on the mobile sales channel, your app doesn't have to be as good as your site. Your app needs to be as good as all the other apps that people are using on their phone. And so all of a sudden you need your developers to be looking at, Snapchat and Sonos and all these other things because people are looking at what's the interface that's happening. And so that causes lots of challenges just of making sure that our workforce is up to speed on all the latest technologies. Retail is growing, so we've gotten away from the 100 stores by 2020. It's dangerous to pick a store number by a particular year because then you're incented just to get deals done, but they may not be great stores. I'd rather have profitable stores and a sales number that we can achieve. So retail is growing, but we're being more cautious on it. The retail environment is pretty much a disaster in America right now. So we are growing stores, but we're growing them carefully, and we want to open really only A+ sites that we know can be successful. And then mail, phone, and catalog, it is declining, but it's still a hugely important part of our business. And our core customer, comes in on the phone, and we will always have that as a big part of our business. And the challenge we've had to our new marketing department and marketing leader is reinvent the catalog. So don't just cancel it or close it, but we were innovative in the catalog and direct marketing business before. Let's be innovative again, and let's just figure out how do you reinvent that side of the business. Yeah, it's going to be a lot smaller, and it shouldn't be more than 25% of our budget, but you can be incredibly innovative, and others are doing great stuff in catalogs, so let's not just throw them out. Let's figure out how to do them better and innovative again.
Okay, I'm getting the signal that we're moving to questions, so I want to ask you these.
Aren't you asking me questions already?
Yes, well, I mean the audience questions, right? So I wanted to ask you the 3 cliche interview questions that you always hear, because I think your answers will be interesting. So what keeps you up at night?
Number one is a data breach, actually. So only because they've happened so much to so many fantastic retailers who have incredible systems and services, as we do as well. But we are a brand built on trust, and we're a brand built on direct marketing and direct contact with our customers. So a data breach scares me. And I worked for Hannaford in our Florida business when the Hannaford data breach happened, and it was a massive distraction. So that's probably my number one fear. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your biggest weakness?
I take on a lot, and I can bounce from message to message or sort of new thing to new thing. And so I have to really learn and teach myself to stay within the moment, stay within whatever the theme is. And there's all kinds of CEO coaching things they tell you of whatever your message is, you just have to be comfortable delivering it 1,000 times. I have trouble with that. And if I'm not good at it, it's really dangerous because one of the things you learn when you come into the role is everybody's listening or looking for every sign of some direction or something. And because I'm quite transparent and open, I will bounce around and have lots of conversations with folks, and people have an idea and I'll encourage them to do it. But all of a sudden you could have launched 1,000 ships in 1,000 different directions. And so it's very much learned for me to bring that back and say, okay, stay focused. It's on culture, it's on growth, it's on improve the health. There's lots of other things, but try to bring it back to those messages. And I would give myself about a C+ on that so far, because as I'm learning, I do find myself, oh, crap, I said that, and now someone's doing that. I didn't mean them to do that. I just was talking openly. So
Yeah. It's hard to be informal and set those.
Correct, and it's learned.
Yeah.
It's not an
Yeah.
innate. My innate thing is just to be curious and to ask lots of questions, and then.
Are you comfortable with your work-life balance?
Very much so. Yeah, I am. Work life is critically important to me, and always has been. So I love my wife. I love my kids. I like to do a lot of activities outside, and
And do you think your employees have the same work-life balance?
I don't actually. I think LL Bean's a hard place to work, and I would like us to work harder on the work-life balance. I think removing some of that formality, removing some of that hierarchy. There's a great quote that Marie McCarthy, our head of HR, said of as we were looking at reinventing and evolving our culture. She said, not everything excellence is okay. Not everything has to be perfect. And we have been in a perfect state for a long period of time, which puts a lot of stress on an industry which cranks out beautiful PowerPoints and beautiful quantitative analysis. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on the organization. And I think Bean is an amazing place to work, but I think it's a hard place to work. And I think writing that work-life balance is an important thing.
Well, I think you set the tone with it, so it's a
Yep.
good message to the rest of the employees. Plus, if you've canceled a lot of the PowerPoints, that alone will save a tremendous amount of time.
Definitely.
So, right there. So you talked about being outside and being outdoors. What's your favorite outdoor activity?
Yeah, running.
Yeah.
Generally has
On
been
hold for a
and was
minute,
on
yeah.
hold for a while. Yeah. Actually, it's coming to Bean just this summer. I got into stand-up paddleboard, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's and I would encourage everybody to go and try it. And as a little plug, go to Lower Flying Point and go down to the Outdoor Discovery School and learn it. Something quite magical about standing on the water. So most people, if you're in the water in Maine, you're sitting in a kayak or you're sitting in a canoe and you're right down on the water's level, which is really cool also. But when you're actually standing, and that perspective looking down into the water is really, really incredible. And then from a workout, it's great. It's balanced, so it's your core and it's your upper body. And so stand-up paddleboard is probably my newest thing.
Good. Describe your Maine. So what are your favorite places to visit in Maine, most beautiful places?
Favorite island is Lane's Island, which is right at the mouth of the Royal River. It's an uninhabited island that I love to go kayak and paddle around. I have an amazing video I should show you, which I came around the back side of it, and there were hundreds of piping plovers that were all on these rocks. And I'm just sitting in my kayak watching them, and I actually filmed them for a little bit sitting there, and then they took a little umbrage to me sitting there, and so all of a sudden they took to flight, and they were just flying like straight towards me and around, and they were splitting around me on my kayak, whatever. It's totally awesome. Probably illegal because I think they're endangered, but I wasn't.
But you didn't shoot them.
I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
I just was sitting there. Yeah. But being out on the water, Lane's Island, absolutely fantastic. I love. I'm going to plug Jim Brady here. He's probably sitting here. Sorry for this, but I love the Press Hotel, and I love. Yeah, okay, good, excellent. And I love Union Restaurant, mostly because that's where I stayed for my entire interview process.
Oh.
And because I have Maine roots, I had to be incognito, and so I would come in and I would just stay there. And that hotel and the restaurant staff became my family when I was here. And I was always coming from China or England, and I was tired or whatever. And so I just love all the people there, and that's become sort of a home away from home for me. And then Two Lights, the lobster shack out on Two Lights, because when Megan and Sarah were babies, that's where we always used to go. And I love being back in Maine and being able to go out to Two Lights.
Great.
And a million other things. I
Right,
love Maine.
right.
I love being back in Maine.
Right. So, Amy, where are you? Are we ready for questions? Great. And would you like some coffee?
No, I'm fine.
Are you
I've got my
good?
water. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
because we have the delicious coffee by design, and you know what? I wouldn't mind a cup. I was asking for you, but I figured
Sorry, I should have
just
asked you,
get
would
one.
you like a cup of
no,
coffee?
do you really want? Do you want one? Or you
No, I'm fine,
you good?
totally fine,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Okay. You do serve coffee by design at Bean, though, don't
Yes,
you?
we do.
Great. Okay. All right. Where are we going?
There's a hand there.
Oh, there's a hand right there. Wait, the microphone is coming to you. There she is. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Nicole Avery. I'm the Executive Director at Cancer Community Center, which is a beneficiary of LL Bean support, so thank you. Also proud LL Bean customer when I climbed Kilimanjaro in 2005. Wow. My nickname was Beanie because everything I had LL Bean on it.
Fantastic.
But I actually do have a question. How do you balance holding on to the beautiful tradition and culture of LL Bean while also driving change? That can be a challenge sometimes. How do you manage that?
Yeah. Awesome question. And actually, we just had a good leadership meeting yesterday and had a similar type conversation. First, it just starts with respect and humility. So LL Bean is an amazing company. And when you come into this role, you're stewarding an incredible brand. So there is just a huge amount of humility and respect you come in. And I give Sean Gorman and Marie and Hugh Farrington a lot of credit in the search process of they were looking for somebody who was a good cultural fit. And I am one of those people, so I have a huge amount of respect for the brand. One of the things I said yesterday, so we are and we're about to embark in quite a bit of change inside the organization. Just a soundbite that I believe in strongly is change done with versus change done to. And if I mentioned this in commercial planning, and we've also got a major brand initiative underway, which is really defining and redefining the LL Bean brand. Those projects that we've launched, we have built big cross-functional teams of folks at our senior manager or director level, the people who actually do the work in the organization, and they are leading and running those projects. So they've got all the history and heritage. They also understand the process of how we get things done, but we've set them an inspirational vision of where we'd like to get to, but the folks who are actually have done the work historically are now working on reinventing the new processes or looking at how we want to rebuild our brand. And that has lots of different benefits. You obviously have lots of perspectives around the table, but then when we actually get to implementation, the people who will be doing the work and leading the work in the future were involved in actually the change that was happening. We just did a quantitative study, a national quantitative study around our brand and all of our competitive brands, around 5,000 interviews. And there's a group of 15 people who every Thursday are off-site plowing through that quantitative information, coming out with the good and the bad of the LL Bean brand. Those folks will then be the people who are going to communicate whatever we decide back out to the organization. So that's change being done with. We're bringing everybody along in that process, and they're involved. It's not this elite little group off, the marketing team doing a brand project, and then they're going to, voila, here's the new brand. We've actually got supply chain and operations and merchandising and product design all working in those projects. So that's definitely the biggest piece is sort of done with. And then just transparency, of communicating. If we aren't as healthy as we should be, we need to start talking about that. So it's not surprising people, and you're bringing people along in a conversation on, we want to change this, we want to approach this in a different way, and trying not to surprise people, but bringing them along and doing that in forums where they can ask questions. And they're, ultimately get to a culture where not only are they asking questions, they're pushing back. They're saying, hey, I heard you say that. I don't buy it. I don't believe it, or you didn't convince me. Tell me, what are you seeing that gives you the passion to have that same kind of commitment? That's what we're trying to do.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
I'm wearing two hats today. One is I'm the CEO of Planet Dog, so I'm interested in whether you have a dog.
I do.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yep. I like
and
the
what
store.
do you think LLB's position will be as it relates to pets? We obviously sell to LL Bean, and I'm interested in whether you think that becomes a bigger part of who LL Bean is, or whether it becomes a lesser part. And then the other question I have for you is, I'm also the chair of the Institute for Family-Owned Business. LL Bean is the largest family business in the state. I'm curious how you keep those family values as part of the company.
Yeah, great questions. I love Planet Dog. You have a great store. It's great. And as a retailer, I like it quite a bit. I do have a dog that we got in England. It's half Springer, half Lab. Awesome, awesome dog. For pet, I'll give you a personal hope, and then I'll give you an actual answer. Okay. So we will always be in the pet business for sure, and I hope that we actually do grow our pet business. Dog beds are made in Brunswick, so it is a local manufactured product. It's popular, it's great. We become sort of a mini destination for sort of larger pet purchases. We obviously don't have all the accessories. And I also think as we continue to hone in on an active outdoor lifestyle, pets are a huge component of that. So I would hope and imagine that it stays within our brand. As part of our brand project and the quantitative work that we're doing around our brand, we have included pet as a category that we want to understand much more deeply, and we want to understand how people think about being and pets. And I think we believe intuitively that it matches well, and it's a great business for us, but our quantitative work is going to give us a good idea on whether that's a huge growth opportunity for us, whether it's always going to be an accessory for us or not, and we'll have an empirical answer once we get through that process. And if you have stuff that you're interested in doing with us, I definitely would encourage you to chat with our pet team and our home team, because it's a great business for us. And our home store, we do a lot of one-off items. So we have a lot of Maine manufacturing and Maine craftsmen, craftspeople who have products in our home store, and we can do the same thing for pet. And what was the second part of your question?
Family values.
Oh, family business, yeah. Actually, as a plug, you should have Sean Gorman sit up here at some point. He could be one of your next people and talk
That'd be
about
great.
family business. And he did just do a great
Eggs and issues.
Yeah, eggs and issues around sort of the family ownership. I'm new to it, so I'm learning it. I say I'm new to it. It's a bit odd, actually. Walmart is still a family-owned business, and odd parallels between Walmart and LL Bean. I'll just tell you a funny story. When the Waltons own more than 50% of the stock, and then officers own the next 25% of stock. So the publicly floated is actually about 25% of the total stock. And in real estate committee meetings, when I was in China, we would present projects. I was running Sam's Club there, and to build a Sam's Club in China is about a $50 million capital expense. And when you are presenting to the real estate committee, Rob Walton is sitting in the front row in the middle seat. And it's his money that you are asking to spend to build a club. And he asks questions about, have you been to the site, and all kinds of stuff. And so that family ownership of recognizing that you are spending somebody's money, it's not a faceless corporation, it's people. I understood on a large scale from a Walmart perspective. On the Bean side, I give Jen Wilson, Nate Clark, and Sean a lot of credit of, they have built a family governance model where the three family branches, so you've got Leon's branch, you've got Jim Gorman's branch, their brothers, and then you've got Linda Bean's branch. Those three branches are the three ownership branches. They come down into those three family members, and then all family issues are theoretically go down into the Family Governance Council, and then that's the group that I interact with. And if something comes through the family filter, then we have a conversation and say, is it something we want to build into the business? And they've worked really hard to sort of corral the family into something so it allows professional management to be professional and run the business. And then the board is made up of, there's 10 of us on the board, so there's 3 independent board directors, there's myself, and then there are 2 members of each of those 3 branches, so that equals the 10. And whenever we talk about anything business-oriented, the family values are just automatically coming through. The stakeholder concept, are we taking care of employees, customers, the environment, communities, suppliers, and it's just deeply seated into the business. And Sean is an active chair, so he's the executive chair, he's my boss, he sits next to me in the next office, and so family values are just pervasive in everything that we're doing. Yeah.
Steve. Good
Hi.
morning. My
Morning.
name's Phil Coop. I'm co-founder of a local business called Revision Energy. And it's great to hear that you plan to kind of reinvigorate growth at LL Bean. And also, I just want to applaud you being out here and giving us your transparency and sharing your leadership and style.
Thank you.
Understanding your love for the environment and the need to grow the business. I'm curious if you have a plan to drive environmental sustainability while trying to increase growth.
Yes. So I don't know how yet, but it's probably two different paths to take on the answer. So number one, we do a lot of great environmental and sustainable stuff, pretty deep into our supply chain, and we don't talk about it and we don't promote it. We've been a very humble organization. When you talk a lot about your environmental practices, you then get beaten over the head for the things that you're not doing yet. So as a business, we haven't shared a lot of the things that we're doing, and I think we do need to tell stories a little bit better around some of the things we're doing, and get some credit, because it is deeply pervasive in our decision making. And we can do a lot more. And I think once we get through some of the work we're doing right now, identifying different target audiences and different messages for different target audiences, what's important. I think for everybody, the environment is critically important. For younger shoppers, even more so. There's an idealism within those younger shoppers that I think we need to be better. And it's not a greenwashing. You need to actually be good and have good sustainable practices. So it's something, we don't have a plan yet, but it's something that I'm passionate about, and the company's pretty passionate about as well. We just need to figure out what we want to do and what platforms we want to create. But more to come on that.
Hi, Steve. My name is Pat Scully. I'm the
Morning.
CEO of Bernstein Schur. We're a law firm here in Maine and New Hampshire. And my question is, we still struggle in this state to keep our young people here.
Yep.
And I think we also struggle to convince many of our young people, especially people who are coming from more challenging environments, that they really have opportunities, that they can achieve things maybe beyond what they know that they can achieve. LL Bean's a wonderful company in the sense of employing many, many people in the state, but I wonder if you have thoughts about what LL Bean does, could do, and what the rest of us could be doing to help encourage our young people to both stay in Maine, but also to realize what their potential is and to help them kind of achieve what many of us grew up in environments where we knew we could achieve more, but certainly not all of our kids know that.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a deep question. I think I'll probably go on a couple different angles on that. Where to start? I'd say first, one of the things that I'm really, so at Bean, we actually have quite a bifurcated workforce. So we've got incredible long-serving employees who are 50, 55 plus and 30, 35 years of service. And we've got just an incredibly committed workforce. And then we do have also this younger workforce that has come in. As the e-commerce business has grown, there are specialized skills that we've had to hire for, and we've had to bring them into Maine. And it's interesting to look at those two groups. On and I'll stay on the younger side, so I have a massive amount of respect. I love our long-serving employees. They're awesome, because your questions around the young folk, I'll stay on the younger side of that equation. One thing I would highly encourage people to do, which I've been really impressed, has sort of stumbled over this summer, is our internship program is awesome. So we had 40 interns in this summer, all in college. So they were from sophomore to senior year, and they were in real jobs. They were not in, you're going to job shadow somebody for 8 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever. They were deeply in supply chain, product merchandising, product design, OFC. And I met with all of them before they left in August. And that was the future of our company sitting right there. It was incredible looking at all these bright faces. They had awesome questions. You had a great feel for what they want to do in the future. And my immediate reaction was, and I stumbled across them, so I knew, I'd seen probably a memo somewhere, we got interns, whatever, and I knew they were having a lunch, and I was like, can I just go to the lunch and meet them? I just want to see them. And all of a sudden I had this reflection of, every single senior leader should be involved in this internship program, so that all those interns fall in love with Bean and want to come and work here and stay here, not just get the experience or the credits or the cash. And so I would encourage folks to invest in an internship program, because I think it's a great way to bring people into your business. And then make them real meaningful jobs. Don't just make it a tick box exercise, but actually design jobs for them. I think that's critically important. I also, this one's a bit odd, and I don't really want this to happen, but I'm going to talk about it in principle. So there's a company here, and the guy might even be in the audience, but there's it's like Pets First Choice or Vets First Choice, or it's
Vets
one of
First Choice.
Vets First, yeah, right. Really innovative company. I think it came out of David Shaw's IDEX Group or whatever. They've stolen a number of our really talented folks. I'm not psyched about that, but I kind of am also, because if we're the behemoth and we're able to attract people into the state, they understand our brand, they come in, they find Maine, they love Maine, they get real transferable skills of working in a large business, and they can take that to a small entrepreneurial business that's trying to be successful in Portland and in Maine. That's actually not a bad feeder system. I don't want it to be crazy, because I want to keep all of our best people, and I don't want to have to spend lots of extra money to recruit. But I do kind of like that model, and maybe there's a place where we're a little bit more open around talent, and looking at are there smaller businesses that, if there are people who are inside our organization who actually could benefit from going and working for a smaller organization or bringing some professional skills to a different organization, maybe that's good, and maybe we try to find some coordination of doing that in a way that it isn't poaching, but it's actually keeping our best people in the state and giving them different experiences. And I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's a utopian vision or not. Mike Vail at Hannaford is a great friend of mine, and we worked together for a long, long time, and we're starting to have conversations on, could we trade talent around? And I need some real estate folks, and you've got a great real estate business, and maybe I don't have to hire your best people, but maybe you just could start working together, and that would help retain. So it's a bit of a random answer, but I'm passionate about it. The internship is one that I think is critically important for folks.
We could use some e-commerce help. So if you want to do an internship at the Press Herald for some people, that'd be great.
Awesome.
We could do
Awesome.
that. We'll give you some journalists for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah.
Like a trade.
Excellent.
We're going to take one more question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm James with Flowfold, a local manufacturing company based out of Scarborough. And just to curtail on what you said, another thing that LL Bean does that I certainly appreciate is you support other local businesses. Obviously, you carry us, our company is under, all 7 of our employees are under 30. So that's the kind of inspiration that's going to get young people to stay in Maine. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
Portland Press Herald actually just did a really great article on the Bean Boot and how you're capitalizing on the fact that now this is cool, right? And it's always been excellent. It's always had the lifetime warranty, high quality, but now it's like really cool. And at the same time, LL Bean has really made an effort to not chase fads and kind of ride that boomer bust wave. So what are some of the things that you may be doing, knowing that baby boomers, my parents, aren't accumulating things anymore?
Yeah.
They're experiencing things, they're not buying things. We are. So how are you targeting millennials, and sort of what kind of plan do you have moving forward?
Yeah. You asked about 4 questions in there, so let me work through all those. So let's see. So Bean Boot, obviously fantastic product. We've upped production of it, so this year we'll be able to produce about 660,000 of them. Last year we were about 550,000. We'll probably still go into back order in late winter, but have improved production there, which is great. One of the things I'd like to do where we have increased that production is not simply to create more of the 8-inch brown boot, which is sort of the standard Bean boot, but actually others are doing the duck boot in a more innovative way than we are, and they're actually stealing, sort of some of our DNA. And as we increase production, what I would like us to do, what we are doing, and you'll see this coming out in January, is to showcase all of the innovation that we actually have around the Bean boot. So we can create clear lowers, and we can do all kinds. We can do them in a million different fabrics and all kinds of different colors and different sizes and shapes and all. And the Bean boot is a bit of a Trojan horse for us in that it's all of the heritage and all of the brilliance of LL Bean and of Maine if we could showcase it with innovative colors and materials and styles, all of a sudden it shows that we are also innovative. We could attract a younger customer, a more hip customer. And I want to take some of that production and use it to showcase our innovation so that others don't steal it from us. And so that's a very active process that is underway. We have a beautiful testing lab, and that our Japanese business has been around for 30 years, and Japan is very design-oriented, and they've been making red, blue, green, cruiser boots, buckle boots, all kinds of stuff that we've been making in Brunswick for Japan. And I'd like those boots to come be more visible in America. It will allow us to attract younger customers, more hip customers, and it's a little bit of, as trends go through, I mean, right now, our business, we just cruise along and trends sort of hit us and knock us sideways. It's like if we're going like this, people are just sort of tripping over us. I actually wouldn't mind when a trend hits us to ride for a little bit and then hop off it and just keep going. And color and innovation and materials, I think, in Bean Boot can help us do that. Overall, for millennials, and it's not even just millennials. I mean, we're having massive amount of conversations, and it's all part of this brand project around identifying our target audience. Of historically, we have said we need more buyers under 55 because our average buyer age is 58 and aging out of even just buying stuff. And we're reflecting a little bit on it's yes, there's an age component, but actually we need new customers. And I don't really care what age those customers are. If they are inspired and enabled to get outdoors and they want to look good and they want products that function, I want as many 70 and 80-year-olds as I want 18 and 20-year-olds. And if they're drawn to our brand because it's high quality, it works, we are in line with current fashion. So if it's slim fit, then we've got slim fit things. Maybe it's not just get younger customers, it's actually get more customers and be really clear about why people are attracted to your brand, and then find those like-minded customers, which might be more of a psychographic than it is a demographic. And that's the stuff we're sort of mashing through right now and looking at. It's about new customers. Yeah, we want younger, but we actually need people who are inspired and enabled by the outdoors that we can bring products to inspire and enable them to get outdoors. So, a bit of a roundabout answer for you, but yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thank you for sharing all your time and your insights with us. Wow, that's a lot of clapping. That was a lot of clapping for you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
They were clapping for you.
Great. No, they were
Yeah,
clapping for you. So I want you to let Mike Vale know that you've really set the bar high
So you want him next?
for Like a Boss. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, up next we have Leanne Leahy from VIA. She's going
right
to
there.
join
I
us.
just saw her.
Yes.
She's
on,
awesome. She's a good friend.
December 2nd, I believe, is the date.
Cool.
So we look forward to seeing you all then. And I think we were on, Chad, were we on Facebook Live with this? So if your friends, I told you.
I know.
If you want to share this with others in your company, you'll be able to find it through the Press Herald channel on Facebook. So thank you all for your time today, and thanks again to Steve Smith.
Cool. Thanks. That was fun.
That was good. Yeah, thank you.